Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. This time we will be going over Episode 9 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. I do want to apologize, I want to be way more consistent with the episode reviews than I was for Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s, and I missed like the last 3 weeks. I know one of them was kind of like a very recap-y filler episode, but I still do apologize for that. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get back to a more consistent schedule here. And again, talking Yu-Gi-Oh! Crazy 8s, we do every night at 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday nights. So that's something you can look forward to as well if you are a big Go Rush fan. But what did I think about Episode 9 of Go Rush? I really enjoyed it. Honestly, that episode had no right to be as good as it was. And again, I think it's because I'm very partial to dogs. I love animals. I'm a huge dog lover. I contribute to the ASPCA every month. I mean, that is one of the charities that I really am passionate about supporting and helping. So seeing a story like this is a very easy way for any show to just very easily pull on my heartstrings. And I loved the backstory that we got regarding Bochi and especially regarding Manabu. And this episode made me really love Manabu's character, and it made my view on him really skyrocket, right? He's a character that we now know, and I think a lot of us can relate to, weighed down by the expectation of his elders, and in this case, it's carrying on the Sogetsu style, which we'll get to in a little bit, because that was a huge kind of bombshell moment in this episode when they mentioned the Sogetsu style. I was like, oh my god, are they going to mention Gakugen or Gakuto? But this seems to be a different sort of Sogetsu style, right? With martial arts and physical training and beating up people, which is not really what the Sogetsu style was all about. I mean, maybe it was like pre-Gakugen, but again, it seems different enough where there's no real clear-cut comparisons, in my opinion at least, to the Sogetsu style that was made famous during the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s era. So is this another notch towards leaning into the AU theory that this show is actually an AU to 7s? I think it probably is. I don't know if it's enough. I don't know if we've seen anything that's definitive enough to say one way or another. I'm still very 50-50 on it. I probably lean towards it being an AU at this point, but I thought that was interesting to get such a well-known, famous style of dueling that was famous in the Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s era, but the backstory is much different, and so that was very interesting. But you see the classic trope of a young kid being forced down a road. We see so many times where if your dad is an electrician, you're kind of maybe pressured or expected to follow in your dad's footsteps. If your parents are construction workers and they own their own business, they might put a little more pressure on their child to follow in that profession, and maybe you as a child do not want to go down that profession. And we see that here with Manabu, and that was something that I think it's so easy to relate to. I remember my dad was big into computers, and he runs his own e-commerce store, and so when I first went to community college, I wanted to go into computer science, and then I realized after a year that, and my dad, by the way, that was all in my head. My dad never put any pressure on me to do computers or anything like that, so it's a little different, but after a year of computer science in college, I was like, you know, this isn't for me. This isn't my path. This isn't what I love. Ended up doing marketing and economics, which I definitely enjoyed more than programming and computer science. And, you know, my dad was very supportive, but I can imagine how difficult it would be to have a change of heart and have your elders not be supportive. Also, I'm an 18-year-old at the time. Manabu is probably 5 or 6 years old going through this, and his horrible elders make him train, I would imagine, by himself in the mountains, all because he was bonding with a dog? I mean, are these people, you want to talk, just absolutely crazy in my opinion, but that's how some old people who are really laced in tradition are, so it's not like that surprising or that like out of norms. He just is dealing with these elders that are really just set in their ways, if you will. And so Manabu leaves, and when he comes back, Bochi is gone. And to see the how upset he is, the only living creature that he felt he could relate to, because when he found Bochi, Bochi was also all alone, is now gone. And once again, Manabu feels truly alone. And so that backstory hit me way harder than I thought it was going to hit me. And then from Bochi's perspective, well, we learn that he is a talking alien who can beef up the same way that Yugioh can beef up in his Mad Max form. And I believe Yoshio's voice actor is voicing Bochi, so I guess this is the Yugioh Itachi variant, and I think it's very fitting that Bochi and Manya are so close, because obviously the Manya original in Sevens was Mimi, and Mimi and Yugioh were mother-son. So I like how the variants here in the Go Rush world are still very close bonded. I think that's really, really cool. The Yugioh variant being a dog is interesting, but, you know, it just it just is what it is. And so Bochi's perspective was hilarious. Now, he was acting a little bit very similarly to how Manya was acting in the previous episode. I'm okay with that parallel. I don't know if I want to see it done again, and it being in back-to-back episodes felt kind of repetitive a little bit, but Bochi was a little upset by how Manabu left him, but at the same time very grateful for falling into Manya's lap, if you will, and him and Manya really grew and developed and grew stronger together as characters and as people, and he really used his powers for good in order to protect Manya, and went against the dog style that was made famous in the Bow Wow Wow galaxy. So we got another cluster, by the way, here that Udius name dropped, the Bow Wow Wow cluster. And if that's where Bochi is from, or his descendants are from, you start to wonder, okay, where's Kawaii from? Where's Chupataro from? Clearly, they're not from Earth, and they're probably from other clusters. Are we ever going to see these clusters? Are these clusters going to get dragged into the war on Velgears? I think that's something that is going to be really exciting from a world-building perspective. And I really like that name drop and that little backstory lore. And by the way, the way that they showed off Bochi was hilarious. Bochi's ability is hilarious. The fact that they lure you in with these puppy dog eyes, and the second that you turn around, they grow into these huge, jacked dogs and just knock you out with a single blow. And it was great to see Manabu's monster suffer that same fate, being lured in. Like, we actually saw that style in action in the middle of the duel, being lured in by the puppy dog eyes, and then being completely just one-shot knocked out with a punch to the back of the head by the jacked dog once they lure in their victim. So, really interesting lore, and I thought that was I thought it was really, really well done. And so, loved the Bochi element, loved the Manabu elements. I thought the Ace monsters were cool. Seeing Manabu's fiery red lizard-like creature was really, really cool. His monsters were also well done because it's these kind of like dog animalistic monsters, and so maybe that's a little bit of a representation of when he first met Bochi, how Bochi really kind of helped him from his loneliness, and so that's why he built a deck based on those kind of monsters. I know that wasn't really confirmed, but I could see that definitely being the case. And then even Bochi's Ace monster was so cool. That deity dog, I think it was a wicked dog warrior deity Shiva. It reminded me a little bit of like the Shiba Inu dogs. I just thought that was amazing. And again, is it because I'm partial to dogs? It very well might be. I'm a huge dog lover, so maybe that's why I thought Bochi's deck was really cool, but probably the coolest deck for me so far in the show. I liked it that much, and so I was so drawn in by these monsters that the dueling action was really solid. There was a little bit of a break in the action for Manya to explain graveyard effects, and I guess this is just something that they're really playing into. I mean, they are really going all out with explaining every little thing, and every time I think that they have to be done, there's another 30-second interjection of a character explaining some sort of concept of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And man, when the director pre-Go Rush said, we really want to appeal to people that have never played Yu-Gi-Oh! Before and make sure they're not lost, he really meant it. I mean, I would never have guessed 9 episodes in, I think every single episode, we've had some sort of tutorial-like break. Now, when they're 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, I'm not too critical of it, but hopefully, I feel like I say it every week, we are done now with those little interjections, and we can just kind of move on, because I just feel like for a lot of people like myself, and maybe it's a spoiled take, people that have watched Yu-Gi-Oh! For so long, we're used to it, we know what's going on, we just kind of want to see everything kind of in action without any sort of interjections, but I get it. there might be people watching for the first time, and you want to explain it to them. And so I understand it's something that I dislike, but it's not necessarily bad, especially for those new players and fans. So I get that. End dialogue was really cool. Manabu forgives Bochi. Bochi forgives Manabu. Bochi was really happy to see what Manabu had become, this strong leader. And Manabu, it does not look like him and his MIK cronies were going to pursue charges against Bochi at all, which was really cool. And of course, the sushi delivery is not done by any old sushi driver. It is unfortunately done by Chupataro. Another interesting thing, it seemed like London Kirishima was supposed to duel, but we've had a lot of kind of swerves here, and so it was Bochi versus Manabu. I think it was supposed to be Yugioh versus London, which would have been really, really cool. Kind of like Yugioh vibes there, which, by the way, we saw their rematch only a few months ago, so it would have been really cool to see Yugioh versus London. That is a duel that I think was hinted at and alluded at in this episode, and I think it's certainly going to happen down the road. But it looks like next week we will have Chupataro slash Meeg-chan dueling against Yugioh. That's going to be a weird one. I know Yugioh's voice actor came out and said, "Let the duel of darkness begin," which is a term I have not heard since the Vrains days. So I don't know what's going to happen next episode. The episodes have been weird, but they've been fun, and this one I thought was really, really enjoyable. So guys, let me know your thoughts on episode 9 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Go Rush. We have a pretty good sample size here. What do you think of the show so far? You're a fan, not a fan, kind of in the middle? Please let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. A special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons, Panther J, Blue Maiden 28, and Jarrett Buller, and to my Diamond tier patrons, Jesse Wood and Latrell Smith, and to my Egyptian God tier patrons, Ccapacappuuu and Syn Cloud. To everyone who supports me on Patreon, and to everyone who is a YouTube channel member, thank you so much. The extra support means the world to me, and it allows me to make videos on a semi-daily basis, and I am forever indebted to you guys. Seriously, thank you so much. And definitely check out my channel membership feature and my Patreon for some extra channel perks. And thank you guys all so much for watching. Please leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. Be sure to check out my channel for some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime content. And I hope you have an amazing day. Take care, guys.